The alliance between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu has long shaped Middle Eastern diplomacy, influencing the region's most critical decisions and setting the tone for U.S.-Israel relations. Their partnership, forged through years of shared interests and mutual support, has often been a driving force behind major policy shifts in the region. Now, with Trump back in the White House, their collaboration has taken on renewed urgency, with both leaders laser-focused on shaping Gaza's future in the aftermath of ongoing conflict and instability. The stakes are higher than ever, and both men see an opportunity to leave a lasting mark on the region. Their recent meetings in Washington, held against a backdrop of escalating violence and mounting international scrutiny, signal a dramatic shift in strategy for the war-torn enclave. These high-level discussions are not just about immediate security concerns, they're about redefining the future of Gaza and, by extension, the broader Middle East. For Trump, this is a chance to cement his foreign policy legacy, to be remembered as a deal-maker who reshaped the region. For Netanyahu, who faces intense pressure both at home and abroad, Trump represents a powerful ally, one willing to consider bold, even controversial ideas that others might shy away from. Together, they are willing to challenge the status quo in pursuit of their vision. Their collaboration marks a clear break from previous multilateral approaches, favoring direct action and bilateral agreements. Netanyahu's nomination of Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize is more than a symbolic gesture. It's a testament to the depth of their political bond and shared ambitions for the region's future. Around the world, people are watching closely. The stakes for millions in Gaza and Israel could not be higher, as every decision made by these two leaders has the potential to alter countless lives. The uncertainty and hope are palpable on both sides of the border. The Trump-Netanyahu alliance has already upended the established order with bold moves like relocating the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and brokering the Abraham Accords, which brought new diplomatic ties between Israel and several Arab nations. These actions have redefined alliances and rivalries across the Middle East. Now, their renewed focus on Gaza suggests another seismic shift is on the horizon, one that could either pave a path to long-term stability and peace, or ignite a more dangerous and unpredictable chapter in the region's history. The world waits, holding its breath, as the next moves of Trump and Netanyahu could shape the Middle East for generations to come. At the heart of these high-stakes negotiations is Donald Trump's radical and highly controversial proposal for the future of Gaza, a plan that has sparked intense debate both in the region and around the world. Under this vision, the United States, with the explicit approval and cooperation of Israel, would assume direct control over Gaza following the conclusion of major military operations, effectively sidelining local Palestinian leadership. The plan calls for a long-term American presence on the ground, fundamentally redrawing the region's geopolitical landscape and raising questions about sovereignty, occupation, and the future of Palestinian governance. Perhaps most controversially, the proposal includes the mass displacement of Gaza's Palestinian population, encouraging or even pressuring them to permanently resettle in neighboring countries or far beyond the region. The logistics and morality of orchestrating such a massive population transfer are deeply questionable, with no clear answers on where millions of displaced people would go, or how host countries would respond to such an influx. The United States would be tasked with providing security, establishing governance, and overseeing the reconstruction of a devastated territory, a monumental, open-ended commitment with enormous financial, political, and human costs. By dismissing Palestinian self-determination, and seeking to solve the so-called Gaza problem by removing both its population and its autonomy, the plan has drawn fierce criticism from human rights groups and regional leaders alike. It's a bold unilateral strategy that prioritizes Israeli security and American control above all else, setting the stage for major international confrontation and raising profound questions about justice, legitimacy, and the future of the Middle East. Netanyahu's response to Trump's plan was swift and enthusiastic, signaling not just political alignment, but a sense of relief for a leader under immense scrutiny. Facing mounting criticism at home and abroad, Netanyahu seized the opportunity to present himself as a decisive statesman ready to act in Israel's best interests. The plan's core ideas align perfectly with the goals of Israel's right wing, who have long opposed concessions to the Palestinians and favor a hardline approach to security and territorial control. For Netanyahu, this was a chance to rally his base and shore up support among his most loyal backers. For Netanyahu, the plan offers a way to sidestep the two-state solution and address Israel's security nightmare, especially after the trauma of October 7th. The attack left deep scars on the Israeli psyche, intensifying demands for a tough response and a new strategy to prevent future threats. His government quickly moved to develop policies for the voluntary departure of Gaza residents, framing it as a choice despite the dire conditions on the ground. Critics argue that the so-called voluntary nature is questionable, given the ongoing humanitarian crisis and lack of viable alternatives for those living in Gaza. This approach allows Netanyahu to avoid empowering the Palestinian Authority and appease his coalition partners, many of whom reject any role for Palestinian leadership in Gaza's future. It's a delicate balancing act as he tries to maintain unity within a fractious government while advancing his own agenda. By embracing Trump's plan, Netanyahu strengthens his political position and offers a clear, if extreme, answer to Gaza's future. The alliance with Trump also provides international cover, making it easier to justify controversial policies to both domestic and foreign audiences. For a leader defined by security, the chance to reshape Gaza's demographic and political reality is an opportunity he's eager to seize, regardless of international backlash. Netanyahu's willingness to take bold, controversial steps may define his legacy and the future of the region. The Trump-Netanyahu plan sparked immediate global condemnation, with critics calling it a blueprint for ethnic cleansing and a violation of international law. The idea of mass, voluntary departure was widely dismissed as coercive, given Gaza's devastation and lack of options for its people. The United Nations and human rights groups warned that implementing such a plan would constitute a war crime and set a dangerous precedent. European and Arab leaders reiterated that only a solution respecting Palestinian rights and statehood is viable. The backlash has left Trump and Netanyahu isolated, their plan seen as a direct assault on the post-Wadi II international order. What began as a political proposal has become a major international crisis, threatening to further destabilize the region. Alongside the Gaza plan, the Trump administration is pushing a sweeping mega-deal to reshape the Middle East through regional normalization. The proposal links Gaza's resolution to a grand bargain in exchange for Israeli concessions. Key Arab and Muslim nations, led by Saudi Arabia, would recognize Israel and establish full ties. The deal calls for a Gaza ceasefire, Israeli withdrawal, Hamas disarmament, and a decade-long reconstruction program managed by a joint Arab-American committee. For Israel, the prize is historic normalization with Saudi Arabia and other Muslim-majority nations, ending its regional isolation. For Netanyahu, this could overshadow past failures and secure his legacy as a peacemaker. But the plan's success hinges on bridging deep divides between Israeli and Arab demands, especially on the Palestinian issue. Saudi Arabia's participation is crucial, but the kingdom now demands real, irreversible progress toward a Palestinian state as a precondition for normalization. This stance directly challenges the Trump-Netanyahu approach, which seeks to sideline Palestinian statehood. The Saudis insist on a credible pathway to a two-state solution, reflecting shifting regional dynamics and rising pro-Palestinian sentiment. Their demands force both Trump and Netanyahu into a difficult balancing act, as concessions on Palestinian rights threaten Netanyahu's coalition and Trump's deal-making narrative. Netanyahu faces a stark choice: accept a path to Palestinian statehood and risk his government, or reject the deal and forego historic regional peace. Saudi Arabia's firm linkage of Gaza and normalization leaves little room for maneuver, putting the entire mega-deal at risk. Beneath the diplomatic maneuvering lies Gaza's grim reality. 15 months of relentless war have left the territory shattered. Nearly 90% of Gaza's population has been displaced, with families crowded into makeshift shelters and basic necessities in short supply. The destruction of infrastructure, hospitals, schools, and homes, has rendered much of Gaza uninhabitable. Despite Israel's military campaign, Hamas remains resilient, recruiting from a desperate population and fueling a cycle of violence. International aid groups warn of famine and disease, describing the situation as apocalyptic. The suffering of ordinary Gazans is not a side note. It's central to any future plan's viability and morality. The trauma and anger sown by this conflict will shape the region for generations, complicating any hope for sustainable peace. The world faces a stark choice between two futures for the Middle East. The Trump-Netanyahu plan for Gaza, with its focus on control and population transfer, risks deepening conflict and igniting wider war. In contrast, the mega deal offers a vision of regional peace and integration, but only if leaders make painful compromises on Palestinian statehood. The Trump-Netanyahu approach, by dismissing Palestinian rights, threatens to entrench instability and perpetual insurgency. The mega deal, while fragile, holds out hope for a different future, one based on mutual recognition and shared interests. The decisions made now will echo for generations, determining whether this moment leads to peace or more tragedy. The stakes could not be higher. The region's future hangs in the balance.